So we are going to record Veronica's talk. Recording will stop before sharing, so none of your voices will be on the recording. So we're very fortunate this evening to have Veronica Valles with us. She's a great friend of the center, has spoken here many times, always has something very insightful and helpful and interesting to say. And I'm going to read an introduction. And so the title of her talk is The Lens of Love, Journey of Mindful Seeing. At 16, Veronica saved her money from mowing her elderly neighbor's lawn and working at Tom Thumb as a cashier to buy her first camera, a Canon A-1. Intrigued by National Geographic's exquisite photography, a spark was ignited, creating the lens of love through which she would see and savor the world. In the intricate details of light and shadows, hues, textures, and dimensions, her inner world was enhanced by the beauty of the outer world in recognizing the everyday sacred. In this conversation, she will share her passion for photography, especially using her iPhone, how mindfulness is anchored in open awareness and curiosity, and the simple joy of mindful seeing that invites us to experience wonder and awe.
Like I'm getting on the spaceship. Let me adjust. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Do I need to move this closer? Hello, can we hear now? Awesome. So yes, this is about photography, even though this is not going to be a lesson in photography, but how photography and mindful seeing informs my life. And it did begin at 16, actually began younger than that. My mother said I was always really curious, that when we were little, before seatbelts, we would be in the back of the station wagon. I'd be like perched up looking out the window and just always had this curiosity, this curious nature about myself. But it really was when I found the National Geographic magazine and I started seeing all these just beautiful pictures from around the world that it really intrigued me. And then when I don't know how I found out I could buy a camera, but I did. I mowed my neighbor's lawn and I saved my money and I worked at Tom Thumb and I got my Canon A-1. You know, back then that was film. I'm almost 59, so it was expensive. So you had to be really mindful of what the photograph that you're going to take. So I want to bring to you today just 3 things about mindful seeing and the lens of love and my passion for photography. It'll be about slowing down, paying attention, and connecting deeper. Georgia O'Keeffe has this quote that says, "Take time to look." And that's the slowing down aspect. Because the invitation from the National Geographic magazines that inspired me to buy my first camera really brought me, without knowing mindfulness, to the moment, to the beauty of the moment. And with photography, you can't say, "Oh, I'll come back next week and I'll take the picture later." You can, but it won't be the same scene. It won't be the same light. So it's a very in the moment opportunity to connect and to literally, with eyes that can see beyond just what you're seeing. And so to take time to look, as Georgia O'Keeffe says, is to slow down. And how often do we not slow down? Sometimes I slow down a little too much that I annoy the people that I'm with. I'm like, oh my God, look at that flower. Let me take a picture, you know, because something catches my eye. And I will go on walks with friends and they'll be, going over their business plan while we're driving by or walking by these beautiful flowers or this, marmalade sunset. And I'm like, let's pause and slow down and take it in. For me, that mindful seeing brings me to that awareness in the moment that the thing that I'm looking at with whatever I'm looking through is not separate. It really brings you into you move from your mind, you egoic mind. And even when you're taking pictures, you might be like focused on I want to get this or that, but all of a sudden there's this moment where there's no separation. You merge into the oneness. Who's ever experienced that with a sunset or a sunrise or a beautiful landscape? Anybody raise your hands? Yeah. All of a sudden it's you and this expansive awareness or this up close moment, and there's no time and there's no thought for just that moment. Ansel Adams, the photographer whose scenic landscapes at Yosemite also caught my attention in my younger years, said, I believe the world is incomprehensibly beautiful and an endless prospect of magic and wonder. And that's what photography does for me, is that magic and that wonder. That the beginning of that process in high school, and then somewhat losing it in college, just because I got busy and trying to find my way in the world. And then moving to Los Angeles, but not having a camera, but having to get one because all of a sudden I'm immersed in all this beauty. It really brings you into that magic and wonder. It's like, what is this? What created this? And this is one planet out of how many? And for me, that slowing down brings me into the moment with no agenda, but to be present. And then I capture that beauty because I want to share it. I want to invite people into that curiosity, invite people into wonder and magic. It wasn't until my mother started taking care of my nieces and nephews, like her gardening didn't start till after I was in college. So I didn't have her garden till years later, where every day there'd be something blooming and something new that once again invited us to slow down and then pay attention. Thich Nhat Hanh says, the present moment is filled with joy and happiness. If you are attentive, you will see it. And photography brings you to that attention, to pay attention. You can have both a broad focus or a narrow focus. So like with Georgia O'Keeffe, when I was at Ghost Ranch in February 2020, I'm in the midst of the landscapes that she painted. Those majestic, I forget the name of the park, and it's just like you stand there in wonder and awe. You watch the dance shimmer on the mountains, and you're like, what is that? And you drop out of the mind and once again into the moment deep in your heart. And then, of course, I'll take several photographs because I want to share that. It's a lens of love for me because it allows me to really be in reverence to that wonder and magic, to be in awe of something that is so far greater than me, but that I'm a part of. We're intricately interwoven, that interbeing that Thich Nhat Hanh talks about. And so when we pay attention and we notice with that open awareness and curiosity, which is what mindfulness brings us to, so that we're not just thinking, which there's nothing wrong with that, but I can just be in that expansive open awareness to what is present, without an agenda. Because anytime I look for something, I don't find it. It always catches my attention because I'm curious, open, and in wonder. And so when we can see with eyes that see the beauty of the moment just as is, and when we can zoom in the way Georgia O'Keeffe also did with flowers, I began doing that in 2007 when I had this little Kodak Easy Share that a friend of mine bought me for my birthday. And my niece, Hannah, who's 22 now, was in second grade. I took a photograph of my mother's hibiscus. And I'll never forget that Hannah goes, wow, that looks like Georgia O'Keeffe. I'm like, wow, I want to know who your art teacher is that you know that in second grade. But it takes you into a deeper awareness of this, what I call the infinite design, that if you spend time getting really close, you'll notice all these patterns, all these colors, all these hues. And once again, it drops you into your heart and into the fact that I live and move and have my being in something that is so magnificent and majestic, despite what sometimes we see what happens with our humanity. So the lens of love is that lens of seeing and that wonder and that magic. So I don't get lost in bearing witness to the suffering as I do bear witness to it. I don't get overwhelmed by it, even though I may feel overwhelmed at times. I don't allow it to make me cynical, because then I can drop into the moment in beauty. And that's why on my Instagram and my Facebook page, I mostly just do photography, inspirational. Lately, I've been posting the James Webb Space Telescope. Anybody been paying attention to that? I wish I could take credit for that because the beauty just once again drops me out of my ego mind, drops me into my heart. It's like, we are, all of us, a part of this. There's no separation. So when we slow down without any agenda, and we take a look, like George O'Keeffe says, when we pay attention, as Thich Nhat Hanh says, and then we are filled with joy and happiness. Just imagine if more people were able to pause into that moment, and what would the world feel like? Photography also brings me to that deep reverence for Mother Earth, Pachamama, and that all that is given to us in this bountiful way is, once again, my responsibility to actually take care of. Recently on NPR, they're saying how the monarchs have become part of the endangered species. And if you go to my photography website, you'll see a ton of pictures of monarchs, because I find them just to be magical beings. And when I'm around my nieces and nephews, they're the ones that really brought me even deeper to the moment, because one would fly by and we would like literally giggle and chase them. You know? And so I would take a picture as a reminder of the beauty, the wonder, and the moment that I had with them. And then I share it so people can stop. So when's the last time anybody's ever gotten up close and personal to a butterfly? Anybody? Yeah. Paused into that moment, and there's suddenly, it's like, even with plants, there's this exchange of the inhalation, the exhalation, the oxygen, the carbon dioxide, that we're interconnected. And when it comes to the flowers and the butterflies, and we're going to show a video in just a little bit. So like the moon and blue herons and egrets, I use a Canon Rebel. It's from 2015. Everything else is just from my phone. And that's the beauty of digital. So moving from the Canon A-1 when I was 16, which was expensive, you had to be really precise of what you're going to take. You didn't know how it was going to turn out. So there was a lot of uncertainty. But with digital, it allows me to really be in that moment, really capture it, and then share it. So my cousins in Italy are constantly sharing photographs with us, and we're constantly sharing photographs with them. And it becomes almost like this little dance of beauty in this world. So then I can feel that love within me. And when I'm feeling that love and reverence within me, then I'm able to share it in the world. So the photography and the lens of love, and paying attention and noticing the beauty and details of life, and even the things of our humanity, because I love patterns. I love to see the shift of light and shadows. I'll see things. And I was at a La La Land Kind Cafe, and I have my glasses on because I need reading glasses. So, but sometimes it's challenging for me to see things, you know, far or close. And I just saw the way that the light hit the doorknob. It was a beautiful photograph. And I told my niece Isabel, I go, stop, scoot back. She goes, what are you doing? I go, I just got to take a picture of the way the light's hitting the doorknob. And she's like, how can you see that? You're blind. So my gaze is trained for beauty, or something that's just a little out of the ordinary, or something that's calling me just to give it a little attention, and that reverence of it being present, and I'm being present, or there's just this exchange that happens energetically. So I've taken hundreds of thousands of photographs. They're not all that phenomenal, but the ones that are just remind me that I'm in this reciprocal dance with life. And so it makes me connect deeper in the moment, deeper with nature, deeper with just life in general. When we pass by and we don't notice, it invites me into that pause, and that when I share beauty, I'm sharing the invitation to not only heal what may be happening in the moment, but the healing that's happening is that false sense of separation dissolves. That we're all interconnected, that interbeingness. And so the lens of love really drops me into the moment. So how many of you use your iPhone to take photographs, or your Android? Anybody? Awesome. Do you ever share your photographs with people? Am I preaching to the choir? Okay, I love it. So you know that, you understand that. that when I can see something as beautiful, even when it's lost some of its petals, I have a picture of a butterfly that withstood like the storm, and its wings were just like shredded, but it was still flying. It just, there's something that just drops me so deep into my soul. And I'm having this moment that no one else is having, because it's me and whatever the object, the subject, it's just, it all dissolves. We're all here one. Richard Rohr, the Franciscan priest, says, the morning glories and the sunflowers turn naturally toward the light, but we have to be taught, it seems. And for me, the flowers have taught me that over the years. If you've ever experienced morning glories, my mother used to have them all the way in her backyard, like facing the alley, and they face the sun. The sunflowers, they turn towards the light. Our roots are deep into the dark soil, the fertile soil that's necessary. But when we can turn towards the light with our hearts and our minds, we can radiate that out into the world. And photography has done that for me. It's reminded me of the preciousness of life. It's reminded me of the gifts of life. It's reminded me that no matter what is happening in the world, that you will see that one little dandelion that's going to come up from that crack in that cement, because it has this impulsion to live and to share its beauty. And by me just bearing witness to that and being and receiving its beauty, there's just an expansiveness that happens. So the lens of love is just about slowing down, paying attention, and connecting deeper. Whether we're standing in front of the majesty of the mountains, like Yosemite, the Dolomites when I went to Italy, the Colorado Rockies, or it is that little intricate dance with a dandelion and my nephew blowing it and the little petals flying. It just gives me such a gift when sometimes it seems the world has forgotten that. So the invitation is to pay attention, to slow down and pause. Don't judge yourself. Don't judge yourself. But in paying attention, then you will invite others into that moment also, so that they may pause. I was at Central Market years ago. I don't know how, it's been such a long time, and the sunset was just, it was this cloud with these rays of light, like I call it like, the divine light. And I'm standing there taking pictures, and this woman walks to her car, notices what I'm looking at. She starts to look, and she literally gets in her car, pulls out a yogurt and starts eating it, watching the sun, watching the cloud and the rain. All right. So had I not stopped, it was an invitation for me to connect, but all of a sudden she accepted the invitation too, to notice. Or when you're sitting at home and there's like this little tickle over here, and it's that pink flamingo sunrise, inviting you just to step outside for a moment, connect with your heart, with that love in your heart, with that love for the beauty of nature, and then exhale whatever need to be exhaled, that to-do list, and just be fully present in joy and that glory of the moment and happiness. And notice how it makes you feel. Because when we can connect deeper within ourselves, we connect deeper with life, we'll connect deeper with the larger life, with each other. We can look at each other with that lens of love, the intricate and beautiful ways that we show up, like all the flowers, or the different, species, the butterflies and the dragonflies, like the dance in my parents' front yard. When we can see that within nature and we take that time to look, then we can pause and see that in each other. And to understand that we are all walking each other home. So photography does that for me. It's been a dance. I every once in a while, like 15 years ago, I would sell photographs, and it's like, I don't want to sell them, I'm just gonna post them. I just do it because I love it. And I just kind of feel like it's almost part of my dharma, besides everything else that I do, to remind people of the beauty. We forget the beauty. And the external beauty brings me deep inside to the beauty right here. And it reminds me of the gift of the moment. I think I've shared this many times before, but there are a lot of new people here that may not know me.
But when I was 30, I got really, really, really sick. I had chronic fatigue immune dysfunction syndrome in Los Angeles. I lost my job and I was outside just weeping. I'm like, I'm 30 years old. My life is crumbling. I don't know what's going on. And all of a sudden, once again, that really, because I love that color, but it was that marmalade color of a sunset, just that glimmer caught my eye. And I just remember turning towards it and the tears stopped because it just cracked me open to the gift of the moment. And really, the mindfulness journey took me deeper during that time. And then the mindful seeing, like I said, with my mother's backyard, and then living by the Dallas Arboretum. And then just really, driving around or traveling. So here's your invitation. We're going to watch a 2-minute video of some of my photographs, but the invitation really is if you feel like you haven't slowed down, take some time to slow down. I know we do the mindful walking here, but do it in your neighborhood. Or go somewhere, go to the lake, White Rock Lake, or somewhere close to your house. And then just pay attention without an agenda. When I go, I don't go expecting to find the best shot. It's always when I'm not paying attention that something pops up to get my attention. And it's like, and notice how it makes you feel. Notice how, all of a sudden there's this childlike wonder about, oh my God, did you just see that? Like the eagles, when we have the 2 eagles at White Rock Lake. And last year it was just this, like, it brought our whole East Dallas together to like go bear witness to these 2 eagles, and then their nests fell and they moved somewhere else. So we don't see them as much, but it's like, it was such a magical time where everybody dropped every single opinion about their politics, the coronavirus, and we just met in the wonder and awe of these eagles. It was magical. And to watch the little kids come dancing in the fields because there's something so beautiful that they had never seen before. So pay attention and notice maybe something you've never seen before. If you don't get up close and personal to flowers, get up close and personal and notice the intricate designs or just anything in nature and life. And also just some of the things that we do as humans, just notice the dance of the light and shadows. Notice how it makes you feel, and then connect deeper. Realize there's a great mystery that's expressing. This is one planet of who knows how many. But for me, that lens of love has really brought me into that full awareness of the depth and the beauty of this incarnation. Even with all that happens with the suffering, that nothing can take my joy. And it never fails. That whenever I'm having a moment, something comes flying in my view. A hummingbird, a dragonfly, a blue jay starts talking to me. A hawk is like, I'm over here, the owls. And so just notice what you notice. And so when we share the beauty, we're sharing our one moment, one perspective. So it's like a little bit like 2 minutes and 10 seconds. These are just a few of the photographs. I pay attention to everything. I pay attention to food. I pay attention to art. I pay attention to people. But these are just a handful that I grabbed just to share with you as an invitation of my lens of love. And then I will make a comment about one photograph at the end. But just notice what you notice. Because life just flies by us so quickly. All we have is like what's here in front of us. And that's the mindfulness. That's the mindful seeing. And before we show the video, I do this lesson with children so that we go outside and let them be in their magic so that they can see through the wonder that they still have and to actually cultivate that so they don't lose that. So it's one of my favorite practices. So we're going to go ahead and play that. Thank you.
to a variety of photographs, my point of view, moments of my life. The one thing, who noticed the sunflower? Did you notice what was in the sunflower? Little hearts. So when I took that photograph at my niece's apartment, all I saw was the sunflower. I'm like, oh my God, that's so beautiful. Jump out of my car, snap, 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 snap. It wasn't until I got home, I saw that there were hearts in it. Had no idea they were there. Have never seen hearts in sunflowers since. So those are the kind of moments that are magical. That following that impulse of adoration and reverence, and I want to take this photograph, I always find some kind of gift afterwards. So lens of love, mindful seeing, slow down, pay attention, and connect deeper in the magic and wonder of the moment with reverence for this life and for each other. Thank you. I was like wobbling on this little cushion.